Hey everyone, this is Vanilla from the Mommy Blog. My account. Or maybe it's just me. Yeah, so today's been a busy day. I haven't taken a shower yet. So, um, I was just sitting down resting a little bit before I finished doing laundry, and I thought I would do my labor and delivery video. Well, really more just a labor video. There was no delivery part. Well, it was via C-section. Anyways, so the last pregnancy vlog that I did was 33 weeks, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And then on my 34th week, I had my sister in town, so I was busy and really didn't get a chance to do a video that week. Then, at 34 weeks, when I started getting contractions every day, at least 5 times throughout the day. They weren't consistent, they weren't very strong, they were bearable, which I really can't even say because they were just like menstrual cramps. They didn't faze me at all. Then at 35 weeks, I had more family come down because it was my grandfather's birthday week, because his birthday was during the week. There was kind of a lot going on, but not really. We kind of just hang out at my grandma's house, went out to eat. The kids played outside, so we sat outside watching them, that sort of thing. Just kind of family bonding time, eating and everything. It was pretty fun. And the contractions began to be more painful and more closer together. I was kind of getting maybe like 10 and up per day. But I really wasn't worried about it at all. And I was just saying that they were Braxton Hicks because there was no uniformity to them. That week I also saw my doctor. I saw him on Tuesday, which when I was 34 weeks and 6 days. So the day right before I turned 35 weeks. And that visit was pretty normal. I just had my NST, which she did great on. Then I saw the doctor and I told him that I had been having CM every day, at least once a day. When I went to go to the bathroom and I wiped, I had a good amount on the tissue paper, toilet paper. And he was like, oh, that could be anything, blah, 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 blah. And then, so I wasn't concerned about that anymore. But later I found out that that was actually my mucus plug that was breaking down and being released. And when that happens, you're anywhere from 24 hours to a week, sometimes 2 weeks away from delivering. So I was a little bit mad about that. Is the picture crooked, or I just noticed it? Or is it me? Oh, it's me. so then is the... Anyways, I'm sorry. I just saw it and it was irritating me. Well, it does look crooked because look at the wall is right here, the corner of the wall, and then the picture is crooked this way. Anyways, the other thing that we talked about was my next ultrasound, which was gonna happen in the next week or so, we didn't schedule it. And then we went over my sugar levels. Those were right on target, and that was pretty much it. Did they do? Oh yes, I had told them that I was itchy, and that the doctor before the following week had said that if I continue it, that they would do a blood test to check my enzyme levels. So we went ahead and did that test, and that was it. Then we left and we scheduled my next appointment for a week later. And yeah, my next appointment, we scheduled it for the following Friday. So that weekend is when my family came, and my contractions were getting closer together, and everybody was serious and joking. It was like, have your baby on Saturday or Sunday, because everybody was going to go back home on Sunday evening or Sunday. So I was like, I'm 35 weeks. I cannot go into labor this weekend. I'm like, you have to wait another 2 weeks. And they were like, oh, whatever. So Saturday, we were just at my grandma's. Sunday, we actually went out. We went to, did we go to Walmart? I think we went to Walmart just to pick up a few things. And then we went to Office Depot, and we got, the deal that week was, yeah, okay, was the composition books and the folders. I think they were like 5 cents each or something like that, or 25 cents, something. I only paid 75 cents for 10 folders and 2 composition books. So I was super tired, so I went to bed a little bit early. I think probably around 11, which I usually go to sleep about midnight, or used to go to bed about midnight. And my husband was still up. He always stays up, and he works on his computer, feeds the dog, makes sure the girls are tucked in before he goes into bed, takes them to the bathroom. You know, he just does make sure that all the doors are locked and stuff. And I went to bed and I was out. Then about 2-3 hours later, I felt this. I thought it was a kick. I felt a strong kick down there, lower than normal, and it woke me up. And I was like, "What was that?" And I sat on the bed, and then I kind of felt. I don't know if it kind of felt like something was moving, but it wasn't the baby. And I was like, "Whoa, what was that?" So I got off the bed like super fast. I've never gotten off the bed that fast. And our bed is high and it's raised. It kind of has this much raise, probably about 5 inches, and then it's lifted another good, maybe almost 10 inches. So I literally had to jump off of the bed, and then I just felt my legs all wet, and I'm like, oh my god, my water broke. And I just stood there for like 5 seconds, like, oh my god, what do I do? Like, I had no idea what to do. It had never happened before. With my first one, I went straight to the hospital from the doctors, and then my second one was scheduled, so I had never experienced that before. So then I was like, "Baby!" And I yelled from the bedroom all the way to the living room, and he came running, and I was like, "Guess what?" It's like, "What?" And he thought I was asleep, and by that time I was wide awake. And I'm like, "My water broke," and he's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yes." And I asked him to look to see if it was clear liquid or if it was bloody. And he looked, my screen went black. And he looked and it was like, I don't see nothing, it's clear. And I'm like, okay, good. And so then I automatically told him to get my toothbrush, to get my robe, and I grabbed the baby's coming home outfit, knowing that I was probably going to have the baby, and, you know, just being cautious or being prepared. So he went to grab that stuff, and I'm like, okay, I think we have to go to the hospital. What, Mama? Yvette, go check on your sister, see what she needs. I don't know what she's doing. She went to go wash her hands, and she hasn't come out. So then I woke up my mom, and I told her that my water broke, and if that's like the last thing to happen before you have the baby. Like, I was asking her, how long can I go with my water broke and not have to go to the hospital? She's like, well, from what I know, that's like the last thing. Your contractions should start to get close together, and then that's it. You have the baby. And I was like, oh my god. So I was freaking out. And she's like, well, take me to grandma's because we don't have a house phone. We just use Skype or the internet or our cell phones. So she's like, take me to grandma's, that way you can call me to her house, let me update me or whatever. So I'm like, okay. So then we just grabbed the girls, threw them in the van, grabbed my hospital bag, and we went to go drop them off at my grandma's house, which is it's along the way to the hospital, and it's only probably about 2 miles away. So we dropped them off, and my contractions were 3 minutes apart, and I was like, oh my god. And they were super uncomfortable. They weren't painful yet. On the drive, they weren't painful yet, but they were 3 minutes apart. I'm like, oh my god. And they were lasting anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, and I'm like, oh my god, baby, I'm going into labor. And he was like, you see, you're not 35 weeks, you're full term. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe. So yeah. Oh, and he says that I was full term because when the doctor checked me 2 weeks ago, he said I was measuring 37 weeks. But when I went that week before, he didn't measure my fundal height, and I was like, And I'd forgotten. My husband forgot, and I guess he forgot. But if I was 37 weeks 2 weeks ago, means that I'm 39 weeks this week. And the baby had measured a week to 2 weeks early. When they did the growth scan and the anatomy scan and some of the other tests, she was a little bit big. So I was either having a big baby or, sorry, I have to move my leg, or I was actually a week to 2 weeks ahead. Anyways, alright, I'm already at 14 minutes. So I was supposed to go to the hospital that was 20 miles away, but I told my husband, I do not think I'm going to make it. I do not want to deliver on the expressway because that's the only way to get to the hospitals. So we just turned to the next hospital, which is a town over from us, and we went straight to the emergency room. The security met us, and I was like, do you need a wheelchair? And I'm like, yes. By that time, they were still 3 minutes apart, and they were super painful. I didn't call you. And we registered. I just gave them my name, my phone number, my address. that stuff. I didn't even bring my insurance card. I totally forgot. I didn't bring my wallet. I didn't bring anything, just the hospital bag, which I should have had them in there, but I didn't know I was going to go into labor. So yeah, then the registered lady was like, they'll call you in a few minutes. And I'm like, a few minutes? Are you kidding me? But yeah, like 2 minutes later they called me in, took my weight, my height, my blood pressure, asked me how far along I was, how far the contractions were, and they're like, okay, we'll call labor and delivery. And I'm like, oh my god, baby, and I was holding his hands, it's super tight. And then they wheeled me out, and I was waiting out there, and I'm like, I think I have to go pee. And she's like, oh well, we don't have a bathroom, it's down the hall or whatever, but labor and delivery is coming right down, you can go upstairs. And I'm like, okay. And this whole time I asked them to put a waterproof pad under me because I was still leaking. My amniotic fluid was coming out kind of like in waves. It was weird. So as soon as we got up to labor and delivery came down, the nurse took me up. She was asking me all these questions because they didn't have my records. My husband waited in the waiting room on the same floor in the labor and delivery. I changed into the hospital gown. I went to the bathroom. I did urinate, and I had a lot more fluid come out. And she's like, oh my god, you're leaking everywhere. And I walked back onto to lay on the bed, and yeah, you could see a little trail of water from the door all the way to the bathroom and then all the way back to the bed. And I'm like, oh my god. So she called I guess the janitor, and she came with the towel kind of cleaning everything up. So they hooked me up. They had me sign all of the consent forms and everything. And I told her if I was going to be able to have a natural birth or push her out. And she's like, have you had previous C-sections? And I'm like, yes, I've had 2. And she's like, oh no, we'll probably call the OR team to come in, and you'll have a C-section. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. And I asked her a few more questions, about doing the VBAC, and she just said that this was at my hospital, I wasn't going to have my doctor, and I'm like, yeah, I know all that stuff. And yes. Okay, I'll be right there. Alright, so I guess I'll do a part 2 because, I don't know, I think she wants to watch TV in my grandma's room. So yeah, I'll come back and finish what happened next. Bye!